What's up? So, me and a group of cool people, we uh, we made a vampire game, and we're gonna play it in a minute. First, I gotta pay attention to my cat. He decided now is the time he wants attention. Darwin, come on. Yeah. Here's the link. If any of you guys want to download it yourself, it's part of the Vampire Jam, Game Jam. So there's a lot more. I can link to that too. But we're playing my game because I helped make it with a cool team of people. All right. Let's turn the music off. Let's turn the music down. Music down. Yes. Okay. We're gonna go launch this thing. Darwin, quit! Quit it. Hold on here. Can I go full screen? Hold on. Hold on, where is it? Darwin, you're in the way. Get out of the way. Okay. Return. Here we are. I wonder if there's a way to go full screen. Hold on a second. Let me... Did you resub again? I thought you were already subscribed. Sis. Thanks for subscribing to me, sister. Hold on a second. Let's see. Renpie Games full screen. Hold on a second. Let me see how we do this. I don't know if we can. Can I make this full screen? Hold on a second, guys. This game literally just got finished today, okay? I'm trying to learn. Oh well, screw it. It's fine. So anyway, we all decided to make a game. My cat is being really annoying right now. And this is a vampire dating sim where you play as one of the characters and you date other vampires. Because of course it is. I don't think we're going to play all the lines because I would prefer if you guys, played it yourselves and checked it out. But I'll be happy to talk about it a little bit. And I'm going to try to choose paths where I know I did like art for. So let's get started, shall we? Chicago, the crown jewel of the Camarilla. The north side, Boys Town to be exact. It's a chilly Friday night, and the neon-lit streets shimmer with a fine mist of cold drizzle. Turning away from the main thoroughfare of Addison Street, you head down an alley, a tunnel of flickering signage and grimy puddles. You shouldn't have worn suede, but I'd rather meet final death than start wearing practical shoes. You can see the shivering patrons waiting in line in mesh shirts and too short garments impractical against the chill. One or two try to meet your gaze with a knowing look, an inkling of what you are. This doesn't concern you. Striding to the front of the line, you're confronted with a surly bouncer. The deep shadows under his eyes and a slightly wild expression are all too familiar. Hopefully, I might have to make myself disappear. If I get in the way, I will move myself. Here, like down here maybe? Shrink it. Shrink, yeah. Yeah. We'll sit down here. That way you can see stuff. Okay. Giving you a cursory glance up and down, the ghoul's face falls into a frown as he checks the clipboard in his hand. Name? Oh, for the love of... Oh, well, here we go again. What's her name? Is it Edward? Or is it Vera? It's gonna be Vera. Vera Enfield. One would assume you would know that by now. The hulking ghoul gives you a dismissive grunt, but dutifully holds the door to the succubus club open. As you enter, the bass of the music throbs in your chest. You hear angry guitar and angrier lyrics. The long entrance hall, painted black, is peppered with posters. One catches your eye. Huh, baby chorus. I hope they get back together. Emerging into the main body of the club, the dance floor is packed. Amongst the sea of bodies, you see numerous kindreds, some taking full advantage of the overpopulated club and the riotous music. Sweeping a glance around the club, you see a small group in the booths around the tables. A few faces jump out to you, either by their familiarity or their undeniable presence. Music's a little loud. Is that better? Any better? Much. Okay. It's like picking up in my microphone, and I have it turned way down in my microphone. Anyway. Whatever. Sweeping a present. Oh, we already read this line. They are deep in conversation, are surrounded by enthralled groups of prey, hunting. One kindred even seems to have at least 3 kind draped over him on a couch by the bar. So much for subtlety. But you have more than hunger on your mind. Elysium, the place to see and be seen. If deals are to be struck, rivals to be scorned, or hearts to be broken, tonight is the night to do it. Several kindred of notoriety should be in attendance tonight, and you plan to exploit that to the fullest. I wonder why my microphone is picking up. I have it turned really low. That's really weird. What's going on here? Are you serious? You really picking that up? Yeah, it is. Wow. Huh. Okay, well that should be better. Hopefully. We'll see. Okay, time to wrap one around my finger. A group of eager, chattering kindreds surround a single female figure in a dangerously low-cut black cocktail dress. Her white blonde hair is perfectly and deliberately undone. As she speaks, her voice has a soft lilt, and though you didn't hear her words, something compels you to wish you hear her speak again. Annabelle Triabelle, Primogen of Clan Toreador, a perfect embodiment of the roses. Annabelle catches you staring, and her lip curls into a devilish grin. A curl of her finger beckons you to her entourage. Like a puppet on strings, you obey her silent command and approach. She doesn't wait for you, briefly returning her attention to her sycophants with an easy laugh at a poor joke. It is only when you stand before her that she turns back to her expectantly. She turns back to you expectantly, my bad. Her presence captivating, the scent of her sensational. It envelops you. I'm not the best reader, guys. I'm sorry. Miss Triabelle, you look divine. Good evening, Vera. It's wonderful to see you again, darling. Please, sit. Join us. You do so. feeling many eyes not so distinctly taking the measure of you. Annabelle appears to pay them no mind, her sultry smile directed at you, and you alone. Darling, I feel as though I never see you. I simply cannot understand why your sire kept you hidden away from me all these years. A delight such as you should be center stage. Now you must tell me more about yourself. Should we be humble? Should we flirt? Or should we be nervous? I don't know. What should we be? Let's be flirtatious. How you flatter me, Miss Tribell. Center stage? What an honor. Why, just last month I performed at the Chicago Institute of the Arts. A most surreal experience, one which could have only been made better by your attendance. As for myself, well, I've been busy of late. With practice. The violin, that is. Composing, performing, yet more practicing. Oh, aren't you a treat? I only wish I could have been there. It sounds utterly captivating. A feast for the senses. I can almost picture it. Vera, darling, you must play for me. If I like what I hear, then you'll be a veritable trove of opportunities for you within the Rose Garden. Mark my words. Of course, Miss Tribell, that would be truly, I don't quite know what to say. Yes, I would love to. Cassia had said that securing an audition was my key to rising in the Rose Garden. I hadn't expected it to be so easy. Although, when I think about playing for Miss Tribell privately, dear God, no. It's too early for a stage fright. Don't look so frightened, darling. So few in the city have any real talent these nights. I'm sure you will sweep in like a breath of fresh air. Annabelle glances somewhat despairingly at her entourage before turning her attention eagerly back to you. You should have been in the city during the Jazz Age, darling. Annabelle puts her hand to her chest, her ice blue eyes gazing wistfully into the air. I remember when Louis Armstrong was in a band. I used to go with my sire to hear him play in the South Side. It was clear even then that Louis was the real attraction. How clearly he played. I've known so few artists who could say so much while saying so little. My goodness, I can hardly imagine. Though, I've heard Chicago isn't completely deprived of musical talent. These nights, Cassia mentioned I might come across an Evan Klein and someone named Ray Falkman. Oh no, darling, they're the same person. That boy's a Melkavian. Neither Evan nor Ray has been seen much of late. Who knows who else that poor thing turns into? Masquerade breach waiting to happen, if you ask me. And you should. Who else? Kathy Glenn's talent with the guitar was second to none. Now she's wasting it all away with those thugs. And of course, Uzriel, I don't know if I said her name, has left the fold. Ezriel? I give up. She almost seems to pout at this, listening intently. A few members of her court make faces of reproach, but she seems either completely oblivious or uncaring. You are the sole object of her attention. I see, yes. I've heard stories of the famous mother above all. She's the face of the drag and house music scene, yes? Oh, now I think about it. I remember Cassia. Oh, I just noticed something. I think Vera's supposed to say that. And we're doing a little bit of debugging as we are right now. I remember Cassia mentioning something about a New Year's Eve party. Oh my, it's quite a story. But I really shouldn't divulge. Eager. Who better to educate me on the affairs of our clan? I'm most eager to learn, Miss Drybell. Won't you indulge me? Now, I'm not one to gossip. kidding, darling. Of course I am. Yes, her little blood disco, a host of kinds slaughtered in the name of some ridiculous ritual. It's truly shocking the masquerade wasn't shattered to pieces. No, that's just awful. Slaughtered, you say? Oh yes, absolutely cut to ribbons, shreds, tatters. It was a bestial frenzy. The red number 5 took a full 3 nights to deep clean. It takes conscious effort to suppress the excitement of your beast. The thought of kind strewn about the club, a macabre tableau of barbarism, as if just seconds before they had been upright, preparing for that final, glorious performance. How the glorious red would bring life to their dead, pallid cheeks. Annabelle continues, abruptly snapping you from your reverie. She's banned from Elysium indefinitely, of course, quite rightly. I had to call in a number of favors to ensure that that's the worst she got. She doesn't thank me for that, I can tell you. After how tirelessly I nurtured her considerable talent, ungrateful. It sets my heart at ease to see how dutiful you protect our claim, Miss Triabel. The roses have only flourished so vibrantly in this city thanks to your careful cultivation. Annabelle's sour expression dissipates, replaced with an entertaining smile. Miss Enfield, flattery will get you everywhere. You can practically feel the distaste of Annabelle's entourage. And from your periphery you can catch several disgruntled eye rolls. You even think you hear not another one from a high cheekboned woman in a sequined gown. Annabelle's child, Brett, painfully handsome face fixes you with a scowl. Before you can wear your unease openly, Annabelle intercedes, shooting her flock a pointed glance. They recoil, and with a wave of Annabelle's bejeweled fingers, she shoos them away. Brett is the last to leave the table, but a warning arch of Annabelle's brow is enough to send him slinking away across the club. You find yourself alone with the Primogen. Much better. Isn't this cozy? You mustn't mind them. There's only so much spotlight to go around, and darling, most of them have had their time. A fresh face and budding talent is bound to cause some upset. I hope you're not one to shy away from competition, dear Vera. Oops. Did I skip something? Hold on. No, I didn't. Annabelle slides closer to you. Her delicate hand finds its way to your knee. Annabelle, wait, did I just backtrack again? You're in Chicago now, darling. Don't forget your sire, Cassia. Wait, don't forget. Forget your sire, Cassia. It's me you want to impress now. So, the audition. I will send you a proper invitation. If I like what I see, and I already do, you will enjoy the finest things the city has to offer, and the status that comes with being by my side. Oh, Miss Triabel, I accept. Before you can voice your response, you see Annabelle's demeanor shift, a look of contempt crossing her lips as she looks over your shoulder. You turn. There stands a Luc Lamas de Leon. The minister's eyes are closed behind his round-tinted glasses, a malevolent smirk firmly in place. Feeling for the edges of the table, he slides into the seat beside you, uninvited. Au revoir, excuse my interruption, but I spied your enchanting aura from across the room and I could not help myself. Mr. Mas de Leon, you spied me. Only, I was under the assumption that the embrace did not rid you of your blindness. Annabelle tuts and rolls her eyes. Without another word, she slips gracefully out of the booth and returns to her entourage, a slight pout on her perfect lips. Luke relaxes easily into the booth, leaning an arm carelessly on the back of the seat. You see a glint of gold at his cuffs, tiny, perfectly coiled serpents. Pausing for a movement, he takes you in. No, I think that's supposed to be moment. His clouded irises stare into your own. You have heard of Kindred of the Ministry. And though you do not know the details of their organization well, you remember your sire warning you not to trust them. Yet you cannot help note the handsome features, the sleek European suit, and the easy charm that seems to contrast starkly to the leather mesh and latex of the club's other patrons. Sensing your gaze lingering, the same smirk passes across his lips, once more before he responds to your question. See, you're quite right. I have never had vision. However, one does not need eyes to see. Just like I did not need them to spy you, or, your soul's desires before you speak them, Bonita. Suspicious. You should never trust a minister. Never! First, it's Vera Enfale. And you don't know the first thing about me, Mr. Romas de Leon. Feigning to do so does not endear you to me in the slightest. In fact, it makes me quite suspicious of your motives. Ah, Senorita Enfield, how you wound me. I have caused some prior offense to warrant such this hostility? Other than the fact that you seem to delight in my discomfort, I have no problem with you. I have simply been taught to be wary of those who proudly call themselves snakes. Mr. Romas de Leon. Mr. So formal and hardly fitting for a snake like myself. Call me a Luke, please. A Luke, then. You must understand. It is important that I make a good impression with my primogen if I am to make a name for myself in these nights. Miss Enfield, do you not see? This is what she does, obsess over what is new and young and vibrant. Then, when she's had her fun, she abandons them. The company she keeps is riddled with these past flights of fancy. You see their resentment, don't you? You feel their distaste for her, for you. I've learned not to pay attention to jealous whispers. I, unlike them, have actual, tangible talent. Talent that Miss Triabel guarantees will take me far. I have witnessed this talent firsthand. I managed to hear your performance at the Institute of the Arts. Truly breathtaking. Oh, you did? I did. We're now whiskey? Man, they put big words in here and I can't pronounce them. I didn't do the writing, okay? I did some of the art. I'll point out when I did it. Is a composer that deserves better recognition. You did him a great credit. Why didn't you lead with that? I don't know. I didn't know you cared so much for the arts. Actually, I'm the owner and the curator of several galleries and creative spaces throughout Chicago. Other paths to artistic recognition than through Miss Triabel. And besides, one look at her would show that she couldn't stomach the art that you appreciate the most. Not like I can. What on earth do you mean? You deserve better than she can offer. There are needs you have, desires. I see them clearly. Though you try to keep them hidden, you have a desire for something dark, something sinister. Your aura betrays you. I'm gonna deny. That's what Vera would do. What would Vera do? Especially to Luke. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, Luke. I don't appreciate you making such personal and outlandish assumptions. Luke removes his heavily tinted glasses, revealing his sightless eyes. They seem to shine in the dim light of the club, unable to hide his delight at his long snake-like fangs descend past his bottom lip as it curls into a smirk. As though a challenge had been issued, he leans closer, taking one of your hands in both of his own. It is a trait all roses share, Senorita Enfield. That which calls to them can vary wildly from the depraved to the downright bizarre. The enthrallment is a desire most impossible to resist. You're no different. I saw it within you from across the room. The darkness flickers on your aura like flames. You seem to find it easy to pass judgment on Clan Toreador, when your own clan is surrounded by even greater controversy. From what I know, you are fanatics who only seek to undermine and corrupt. A common misconception. We of the ministry seek to liberate. The better one knows one's vices and pleasures, the better one can understand and control them. I assure you, Luke, I need no liberation. I have never doubted my own autonomy. Luke's expression shifts to one of slight disappointment. His eyes close and he returns his glasses to his face. Fangs retract, but his smirk quickly returns as he retakes your hands. That is a great shame to see one such as yourself in such denial, Miss Enfield. I have a proposition. I'm hosting an opening of a new installation 2 nights from now. The work is dull and uninspiring, just your run-of-the-mill satanic material. However, there's something not for public view that I think you would enjoy very much. Once you see this, you will know exactly how liberated you are, how liberated you could be. Reaching into the inner pocket of his expensive suit, he pulls out a small embossed card, an invitation to the exhibition opening. He stands and bends down to kiss one of your hands. I hope you accept my invitation, Senorita Enfield. I found your company most engaging. For now, buenas noches. Luke leaves you alone in the booth, and Annabelle and company are now at the center of the packed dance floor. You watch for a time until you start to feel like you're being watched yourself. A figure draped in red leans languidly against the wall in the darkened corner across from you. But sadly, you don't have time for that right now. You should probably call it a night. This is a lot of reading, unfortunately. You take a drink. And just so you all know, that figure in red is going to be a future expansion. We just didn't exactly have time to put her in for the gym, but we're going to add her eventually. There'll be another path, and we might add more. So look forward to that. After your social success at the Succubus, you find yourself rising from the day sleep with renewed vigor and excitable air to you as you go about your nightly routine. When you return to your haven, your ghoul presents you with a letter telling you it arrived in your absence. You sit at your dressing table, laying it before you alongside the gallery invitation from Luc Romas de Lyon. You read each in turn. You read each in turn. I can't read. You read each in turn, considering which to accept and which to reject. The first, a letter sealed with a glittery red rose. You open it, the soft scent of Annabelle's perfume lingering on the handwritten note. Dear Miss Verena Enfield, you are cordially invited to the Stanley Greer House the night after next for a musical audition into the Rose Garden proper. I await your arrival with bated breath. Kisses, Annabelle. With Annabelle's invitation laid aside, you look again at the gallery invitation given to you by Luc Romas de Lyon. Slightly larger than a business card, the invitation describes a gallery exhibit called Ave Sanctus, 7 Circles in Art, Text and Media. The name at the bottom reads Hector Segura, a Luke's public mask, perhaps? It being one of those rare days, you should be able to find time for both in your busy schedule. Who will you visit first? I'm sorry, I need a drink. My throat's getting a little dry. A lot of reading. I'm gonna visit a Luke. This exhibit sounds enticing. Perhaps you'll stop by it quickly. Following the instructions on your invitation, you arrive at the gallery. It's small, full of dark, looming canvases with even darker subject matter. Groups of kind chatter eagerly over glasses of champagne. You only spot one kindred other than yourself here, clad in leather. They hold your gaze from behind their long blonde hair, an unsettling intensity in their dark eyes. Then you feel someone take your arm, wheeling around you. You see a Luke dressed in his usual sleek fashion, his erratic ponytail now smooth. His eyes are closed, shielded behind dark lenses, his lips curled into a grin. Don't mind them. Alexa always finds this sort of thing fascinating. I'm glad you decided to accept my invitation, Miss Enfield. Polite. It would have been rude for me not to. I would be delighted if you could show me around, give me a tour, so to speak. See, of course. However, you will have to do me a favor. Kindly describe the exhibition to me. Arm in arm, you take a lap of the gallery. Luke was correct when he described the work as uninspiring, but you endeavor to describe to him what you see as you stop before each piece. Por favor, what is next? Baphomet sculpture, painting of satanic ritual, painting of a tiny red ring. I know what this is. Is this some sort of joke, Mr. De Leon? The one with the small little demon fellow with a large nose and little wings? Ha! You know, I'm not sure. Perhaps it's more of a prank. You see, the artist of that piece is a fellow kindred, one of the lunatics. She calls this piece Jimbo. Ah, delightful. Vera, I find your descriptions refreshing. Oh, Luke, can I ask you something? Of course, senorita. But what would you like to know? Where to begin? He claims to know so much about me, but I know nothing about him. Do we want to do Embrace, why you came to Chicago, or your work? Let's do work. I'd love to know how you came to your line of work. That entirely depends on if we're talking about business or pleasure. As far as my career in Chicago is concerned, I have been a collector and curator of artworks for the better part of a century. I find the worth of a piece is gauged by the response it garners, the emotions it evokes. Those who have a talent to create such things should be nurtured. As for my personal hobbies, I am surprised you have not heard, I throw the best parties. If it's a glittering, hedonistic, or spectacle of the senses, you can be assured that a Luc Ramos de Leon is playing host. You listen intently as a Luc cannonly answers your questions. With surprising openness, his responses feel unsettlingly genuine despite all of your prior warnings about the deceptions of the ministry. But you cannot help but think about what you had discussed 2 nights prior. That he has something liberating to show you that would excite your darker desires. As if he knew what was plaguing your mind, he gives you a soft laugh and squeezes the arm you are leading him by. I have not forgotten what I have promised, Vera. I believe that you will enjoy what I have to show you. Por favor, would you be so kind as to lead us to the side gallery? Oh, if you're sure. Don't they need you to stay here at the exhibition? Oh, very sure. What is the point of owning a gallery if I don't get to enjoy it? Luke allows you to lead him to the side gallery. The heavy double doors are locked, but he produces a key and unlocks it. Holding the door open for you as you enter, you see the malevolent smile firmly in place. As the door swings shut, you take in the gallery. It is Spartan and dimly lit. The only source of light is a row of spotlights illuminating the lone painting, taking up the entirety of the far wall. I did this. A semi-abstract portrait of a woman, hanging as if someone was holding her by the ankles, her hair pooling at the bottom of the canvas. The palette is a monochrome of deep reds and browns. Luke retakes your arm, leading you towards the enormous canvas. As it comes into clearer focus, you see the brushwork is sweeping and erratic. Handprints, splatters, scars on the fabric. You have barely begun to take in the work when you smell it. Sweet, metallic, unmistakable. Blood. You stand stock still about a foot away from the canvas. See? The smell, the size, the erraticism. of the marks on the canvas, something deep within you stirs, compelling you to stay, fixated, rooted to the spot. After an eternal moment, a burning question rises in your throat. Luke. He has not turned towards the painting. His blind eyes are transfixed upon you, delighted in seeing your aura flicker and darken. How many? Ah! He slides an arm casually over your shoulder before continuing. The artist tells me 46, but that is when they stopped counting. Simply managing to nod, you know that Aluk was right. This was the feeling of true liberation he described. You like it? I might post them. I'll see what the others think, but I might post them up for people to see, because I've done a couple, but I'm not going to go through all of the love lines, so to speak, because I want other people to play the game. I don't want to play it for them. Before you know it, Aluk is steering you towards the gallery exit. He opens the taxi door for you by feel, his customary grim perfectly in place. As he closes the door behind you, he takes your hand and brings it to his lips in farewell. I knew you would find this evening enthralling. I have much more for you to see in my personal collection. It would be a great pleasure to open my home to you, Senorita Enfield. Good night. The events of that night linger heavily in your thoughts. You've had planned to attend 2 functions this week, but you find yourself unsure. What do you do? Second date with Aluk, Annabelle. We're not going to do Annabelle tonight. Play the game. I gave you the link. It's free. Several nights have passed since your invitation to the gallery. The painting plagues your waking moments. The beauty of it, every detail of it, as fresh in your mind as when you laid eyes on it for the first time. You hate yourself for it, but you need more. You know exactly where to get it. The taxi drops you off at the historic Water Tower Place. Affluent doesn't even begin to describe the frontage of the apartment building. Passing through the Gould security, Aluk is there, waiting for you, door open. His glasses are off, his eyes are closed, he smiles warmly in greeting he knew you would come. Senorita, Vera, what a pleasant surprise. Please come in. You are most welcome. You step into a large, elegant space, all glass and curving windows, giving an unparalleled view of the city skyline. Unable to acknowledge any other detail of the space, the vastness of the view calls you to it. The sky is dark as pitched tonight. Chicago is sprawled beneath you like a blanket of metal, concrete, and neon. You can't help but look down, like you're standing at the edge of a precipice. I don't mean to invade your privacy. Not at all. He joins you at the window, navigating around the modern yet comfortable-looking furniture with surprising ease. The view is simply stunning, but it is safe for you here with all this... Oh wait, I said that wrong. But is it safe for you here with all this glass? Seems a little exposed. Aluk grins and indicates above your head. You can see tracks of shutters concealed into the architecture of the ceiling. Thank you for your concern, but as you can see, it's perfectly safe. I have been told the view from this vantage is the best in the city. Por favor, describe what you see. It is always a joy to gather these interpretations from my guest. Oh, of course. How to describe it? Hopeful, bleak, poetic. But she's a Toreador, so it's going to be poetic, of course. It's like a glittering sea, vast waves of metal and glass, twisting together, thrumming, burning, and twisting with life. See, Vera, I can picture it. I've always felt it, heard it, the swell of life from the city. Your words do it more than justice. Beautiful. I thank you most sincerely. You continue to look out of the vast windows, but you shift nervously, knowing his sight is upon you. In an attempt to break the silence, you change the subject. So, do you live here alone, or... He deftly cuts across your question. Now, Vera. I do not think you came here to admire the view or compliment my home. Why is it that you've come? He moves away from the window to a long, curving sofa and takes a seat, indicating for you to join him. You hesitate, taking one last look out at the ocean of lights before moving to sit beside him. You sit in silence for a long moment, summoning your answer, hands clasped tightly in your lap as you try to look anywhere but at Aluk. For the first time, you begin to take in the details of his opulent apartment. Despite the modern outlook, you see that the personal items that decorate the space are old, very old. The Spanish influence is clear, and the tiles and fabrics of the furnishings. However, you also notice small artifacts that are Egyptian in origin, sealed jars topped with carved heads of snakes, statuettes, and bowls. In the corner, you notice a hunk of stone intricately carved in an unfamiliar script. The top face of the rock has an uneven, dark stain. Boy. Oh, please, Aluk, you know precisely why I'm here. Must we dance around in circles about it? Must you deprive me of my fun, Senorita Enfield? He gives a soft laugh. I know what it is you desire, but you will not receive the liberation I spoke of until you admit it to yourself. Trapped by propriety, it saddens me. Aluk stands with sudden energy. Smile back in place. Sorry, I'm trying to get my brain to work. Smile back in place, he offers you both of his hands to take and pulls you to stand with an easy motion. With a gentle squeeze, he places one of your hands on his forearm. Come, you have waited long enough. Let me show you what I promised. Luke leads the way into the alcove that seems to serve as an office. There are windows in place of walls in this space too. A large desk of black lacquered wood sits centrally, facing the view, and a small low sofa turned to the interior wall. Releasing your hand, Luke gestures for you to sit. As you glance around, you see a greater number of artifacts in this room. A life-size marble statue of a woman with the head of an adder leers from the corner. As you sit, the wall you face contains 5 evenly spaced squared canvases. Luke, what are they? What does that mean? Luke has not joined you, but walks up and down the length of the office space. Each canvas is painted in the same visceral fashion as the one in the gallery. Red, except the 5th, white, crisp, clean, blank. Your beast stirs, gazing at the first 4 canvases. But to your disappointment, the thrill is not the same. Luke pauses behind you. These require some context. If you would be so kind as to indulge me. You glance back with a hasty nod. The need to feel the exquisite pleasure of enthrallment is wearing away at your patience. Luke must be able to see the shift in your aura as he adds, the story is a short one, I promise. Meeting his blank gaze and managing to muster a smile, you snap your attention back to the canvases. You feel strangely compelled to hear exactly what Luke has to say. Behind your ear, you hear him resume his pacing. Long ago in the second city, a god resided, one that commanded the winds, the desert, and the underworld. Taking the name Set, this god was cursed by Ra, unable to walk in the light of the sun, doomed to wander the sands and feast upon the blood of humankind. But in this eternal, hungry darkness he found hope. A rose bloomed in the garden of the second city, one that showed him understanding and kindness where Set had otherwise been shunned. You glance back. Something has changed in Luke's expression. Seeming to notice, his pacing ceases, and he comes to sit beside you. Alas, there was a canker at the heart of the rose, a pestilence, rotting at its core. Overcome with a frenzied rage, Set plucked the heart from the rose, lest her corruption spread to the rest of the garden, an act of chaos to restore order. Luke's eyes bore into you, the same white blankness as the 5th canvas. He is very close now. Fangs like overlong needles descend from his smile. Set ripped the heart from Acrael's chest. A forked tongue flicks from between his lips. You cannot look away, entranced. It happens quickly. Seen before it is felt. Eyes widening in horror, you behold Luke's hand moving away from your chest. His fingers have elongated into cruel spikes. Before your eyes, red, throbbing, your heart clenched in his fist. With this act of liberation, my work is complete. My service of Set outweighs all other desires. I'm sorry, Benita. I like that drawing. Sorry it didn't work out so well this time. I mean, you kind of got your heart torn out. You know, kind of bad. Not so well. Well, the night is young. There are plenty of other delicious kindred out there, right? So that's one piece. I'm going to do one more. I can't do them all because one, my voice will get tired real fast. And two, I want you all to play. Speaking of which, and I will link this in my Twitter and stuff. I'm going to link it again here. There's a link. Download it for yourself. Play the game I helped make. Help make with all those cool people you just saw. We're going to play as Edward this time. Edward Larson, and you'd be good to remember that. Remember the ghoul forgot his name again, the rude bitch. The hulking ghoul gives you a dismissive grunt and dutifully holds the door to the succubus club. As you enter, the bass music throbs in your chest. You hear angry guitars. The long entrance hall, painted black, is peppered with posters. I'm gonna make sure. Can we skip what we haven't read? Ah, flirtatious. There we go. Now we're at the new stuff. Oh, I know how you are, Madame Primogen. In fact, I've been looking forward to making your acquaintance since my arrival. It's Larson, Edward Larson, of the Ventru. Oh, aren't you delicious? You look dangerously delightful tonight, darling, I must say. Stay and talk with me a while, won't you? Of course, Miss Triabel. That'd be quite the honor. The board would probably have me staked if I knew I was spending time with Annabelle Triabel, but this opportunity might just be too good to pass up. No need to be so formal, darling. This is a succubus club, not a board meeting. Loose a little. Annabelle glances somewhat despairingly at her entourage before turning her attention eagerly back to you. You missed our best years, of course. You should have been in the city during the Jazz Age, darling. Annabelle puts her hand to her chest, her ice blue eyes gazing wistfully into the air. Remember when Louis Armstrong was at? We've heard this before. So she goes on about how Louis Armstrong's great, because he is. I can hardly imagine, though I've heard Chicago isn't completely without musical talent these nights. I'm a big baby chorus fan, in fact. I was hoping to bump into Ray Fountain sometime. He's my favorite bassist. I asked someone how I might find him, and they pointed me in the direction of some kindred named Evan Klein. Yes, darling, they're the same person. The boy's a lunatic. Neither Evan nor Ray have been seen much of late, but who knows who else that poor thing turns into. And that's great for waiting to happen, if you ask me, and you should. Now, their guitarist Kathy Glenn's talent was second to none. Now she's wasting it all the way with the Anarchs, the silly girl. Apart from baby chorus, well, there's I can't say her name. Uzriel? Oops. Go back. I don't need to say her. I suppose, but she's rather on the outs with the tower at the moment. She almost seems to pout at this, listening intently. A few members of her court make faces of reproach, but she seems either completely oblivious or uncaring. You are the sole object of her attention. I've heard stories of the famous Mother Above All. I understand there was an incident around New Year's Eve. Oh my, it's quite a story, but I really shouldn't divulge. Cautious. Of course, I didn't mean to overstep. Oh, darling, it's too good of a story not to tell. I kind of love Annabelle sometimes. It's true. truly a ghastly business, a blood disco in these modern nights, really. This poor, brutalized kind, quite the cleanup operation. I heard that shreds of them were even being found hanging from the disco ball, and it took weeks to restore the masquerade. My sire warned me the drag scene in Chicago was infested with Bahari, and she's their queen, mother above all indeed. She's banned from Elysium indefinitely, of course, quite rightly. I had to call in a number of favors to ensure that was the worst she got. She doesn't thank me for that, I can tell you, after how tirelessly I nurtured her considerable talent. Ungrateful. I can tell the rose garden is in capable hands, Miss Travel. Annabelle's sour expression dissipates, replaced with an entertained smile. My Miss Larson, flattery will get you everywhere. You can practically feel the distaste of Annabelle's entourage, and from your periphery, I can't read. You catch several disgruntled eye rolls. You even think you hear not another one from a high cheekboned woman in sequin gown. Annabelle's child Brett, painfully handsome face fixes you with a scowl. Before you can wear your unease openly, Annabelle intercedes, shooting her flock a pointed glance. I messed this line up last time too. They recoil, and with a wave of Annabelle's bejeweled fingers, she shoos them away. Brett is the last to leave the table, but a warning arch of Annabelle's brow is enough to send him slinking away across the club. You find yourself alone with the Primogen. Much better. Isn't this cozy? You mustn't mind them. There's only so much of me to go around, and darling, most of them had had their time. A face as handsome as yours is bound to cause some upset. I hope you're not one to shy away from competition, Mr. Larson. Annabelle slides closer to you. Her delicate hand finds its way to your knee. So, what was I saying before? Oh yes, you simply must come visit me in my home. I understand they've put you up in the penthouse in the Loop, but you would absolutely love the charm of the Fire North Side. I know, I'll send you a proper invitation. You'll come, won't you? Accept. Before you can voice your response, you see Annabelle's demeanor shift, a look of contempt crossing her lips as she looks over your shoulder. You turn. There stands a Luc Ramas de Leon. Here we go again. The minister's eyes are closed behind his round-tinted glasses, a malevolent smirk firmly in place. Feeling for the edges of the table, he slides into the seat beside you, uninvited. Por favor, excuse my interruption, but I spied your enchanting aura from across the room, and I could not help myself. Luke, what are you doing here? Annabelle tuts and rolls her eyes. Without another word, she slips gracefully out of the booth and returns to her entourage, a slight pout on her perfect lips. Luke relaxes easily into the booth, leaning an arm carelessly on the back of the seat. You see a glint of gold at his cuffs, tiny, perfectly coiled serpents. Pausing for a moment, he takes you in. His clouded irises stare into your own. And I am parched. Really dries out my throat. I read a lot. You have heard of Kindred of the Ministry, and though you do not know the details of their organization well, you remember your sire's warning not to trust them. Yet you cannot help note the handsome features, the sleek European suit, and the easy charm that seems to contrast starkly to the leather mesh and latex of the club's other patrons. The same smirk passes across his lips once more before he responds to your question. Ah, Edward, so it is you. How I've missed you, Guapo. Should I be angry? I want to be angry. It's Mr. Larson to you, Snake. The nature of our discussion was private. How dare you embarrass me in front of the Primogen like that? Laughs. He laughs. Edward. Annabelle Triabelle has received greater insults from greater kindred than I and lived to tell the tale. A rose wears their hearts on their sleeve, do they not? So what exactly is your grievance with me? Other than the fact that you seem to delight in my discomfort, I have no problem with you. I'd be a fool not to be wary around a snake like you, Mr. Ramos de Leon. Mister, so formal and hardly fitting for a snake like myself. Call me a Luke, please. A Luke, then. You must understand. It's important that I make a good impression with the primogen of the city if I'm to make a name for myself these nights. Dear Edward, do you not see? This is what she does, obsess over what's new and young and vibrant. Then she's had her fun, she abandons them. The company she keeps is riddled with these past flights of fancy. You see their resentment, don't you? You feel their distaste for her. For you. I don't pay much attention to the way others look at me, Luke. I prefer to be judged by my actions, just as I judge others by what they do. And you're in luck because Miss Triabel does not do anything. She's not like us, Guelpho. We are men of action, men of pride, passion, and romance. Denial or curious? Curious. Ha! Do you honestly believe any of those things about me? Does the minister find pride in his work? Luke removes his heavy tinted glasses, revealing his sightless eyes. They seem to shine in the dim light of the club. Unable to hide his delight as his long, snake-like fangs descend past his bottom lip. His mouth curls into a smirk as though a challenge has been issued. He leans in closer, taking one of your hands in both of his own. Pride, Edward, it is the downfall of many men. It's not a weakness we share, only yours. You seem to find it very easy to pass judgment on me, Luke. When you are surrounded by even greater controversy, you are a corrupted, conniving fanatic. You will not undermine me, not this time. You know exactly what I am. We, of the ministry, seek to liberate. The better one knows one's vices and pleasures, the better one can understand and control them. The only corruptive influence here is your own self-denial. Edward, guapo, please. All I want for you is to stop pretending to be someone you're not. I assure you, Luke, I need no liberation. I've never doubted my own sense of self. Luke's expression shifts to one of slight disappointment. His eyes close and he returns his glasses to his face. Fangs retract, but his smirk quickly returns as he retakes your hands. That is a great shame. I hate to see one such as yourself participate in such folly. Pride allows you to think that you're somehow better than me. Pride blinds you from the hard truths of the tower that you do not allow yourself to see. He stands and bends down to kiss one of your hands. I shall enjoy helping you learn this about yourself. Last one. I have another engagement. As always, I find your company most enjoyable. I have a feeling we will be seeing much more of each other. For now, buenas noches. Luke leaves you alone in the booth. Annabelle and company are now at the center of the packed dance floor. Tucked away in the booth, you find yourself appreciating a moment of solitude after your conversation with Annabelle and Triabel and Luke Ramos de Leon. The club light pulse and flash to the beat of the music, dancers reveling and drinks flowing freely. In this quieter corner of the club, you overlook the party with a quiet thoughtfulness, pondering your place in it. You don't see any of your clanmates tonight. As if in answer to your search, a sound of stern chatter grows from the stairway nearby. There, your eyes land on a golden opportunity. Prince Kevin Jackson himself, heading down from the second floor, a band of black-suited bluebuds in tow. Although only a young kindred, Kevin Jackson wears the title of prince as though he was born to it. He stands tall, broad shoulders, high cheekbones, head closely shaven, with a sleek custom suit and heavy furred coat draped across his shoulders. He certainly looks the part. Though greater still is his presence, he carries himself with a quiet dignity, one that so few venture will fully master. Even among his entourage, one stands as self-assuredly as Kevin Jackson. You see at his side his seneschal, Alan Sovereign, and a few overly eager businessmen flitting about him like flies, vying for their slice of success. As they stop at the foot of the stairs, you decide to approach him. You've spoken briefly before, but never outside of the board meeting. Summoning your composure and a charming smile, you make your way up to the group. My prince, it is good to see you. Prince Jackson turns to you, amusement in his eyes. Edward Larson, likewise. How are you finding my city since we last spoke? Chicago is impressive. You run an admirable ship. I'm anxious to get my hands dirty. Jackson flashes you a handsome grin. That's what I like to hear. Too few venture are willing to step up to the plate and do the work that needs to be done. Oh, you always flirt with the prince. Never not flirt with the prince. Oh, I'm willing to put in the work, my prince. I fancy myself as a man who takes a hands-on approach to business. The prince cocks an impressively groomed eyebrow. It's okay. I am just playing the visual novel that I helped make with my team. We call ourselves Team Succubus or Succulent Club, the Succulent Club, or the club, yeah, Succulent Club, and it is on itch.io if you want to play for yourself. It's part of the jam, and of course I always post my my doodads, my VODs on YouTube afterwards. So this one's going to be embarrassing because I've had to read everything. I don't have awesome voice actors backing me up. Like I did in Bloodlines. Prince cocks an impressively groomed eyebrow. Is that so? You did come highly recommended by Fiorenza Savona herself, if I recall. She had some interesting things to say about you. Oh, she did? I mean, of course she did. It's perfectly acceptable not to know something, Edward. There's a bunch of other Game Jam games. I should probably link to those too. That I should check out because a lot of them look real nice. Masking your ignorance with a hollow pretense of wisdom only serves to undermine your intelligence. Right. Of course. Prince Jackson adjusts his coat and gives a glance back to his entourage, who look to him expectantly, appearing ready to leave the club. That said, I believe that I can count on you, Mr. Larson. You have an impressive lineage, loyal, hardworking. Yet, your line has never had a chance to make waves, have they? Not exactly, sir. No. In Chicago, we set the precedent. We brought the La Sombra into the fold. We dictate how to handle usurpers and the modern knights. We still stand defiantly in the face of the Second Inquisition. Perhaps you'll become the first of your line to break the mold of mediocrity. This is some really harsh shit. And make your mark in this city. I like to think that as well, my friends. In fact, I'd be grateful for any opportunity to prove myself. Very good. I'll tell you what, Mr. Larson, in a couple weeks, yet before our next meeting of the board, why don't you come by Willis Tower? I'd like to catch you up on a few things. Of course, it would be my honor. It would be an honor, my prince. My honor. Good. Until then, Mr. Larson. After your social success at the Succubus, you find yourself rising from the day sleep with renewed vigor, an excitable air to you as you go about your nightly routine. When you return to your haven, your ghoul presents you with 2 letters telling you they arrived in your absence. You sit at your dressing table, laying them out before you, alongside the gallery invitation from Luc Ramas de Leon. You read each in turn, considering which to accept and which to reject. Dear Mr. Edward Larson, you're cordially invited to the Stanley Greer House the night after next for a night of musical appreciation and libations. This isn't a party, Mr. Larson. Consider it a date. Kisses, Annabelle. The next invitation is sealed with a black cross swords. You open it, and in sharp printed letters, read a summons from your prince. Edward, come see me in my office. Relax. It's nothing formal. Let's get you up to speed. PKJ. With Annabelle and Jackson's invitations laid aside, you look again at the gallery invitation given to you by Luc Ramas de Leon. Slightly larger than a business card, the invitation describes a gallery exhibit entitled Av Santis, the Seven Circles in Art, Text and Media. The name at the bottom reads Hector Segura, a Luke's Public Mass, perhaps. Who will you visit first? Let's go to Annabelle's today. We're not going to do them all because, like I said, I want you all to play the game, so I don't want to spoil it all for you. But we're doing one. Musical appreciation and libation, she said. Most tempting. Take another drink. I'm getting dry throat. The elaborate wrought iron gates of the Stanley Greer house swing open for the limousine that was sent to collect you. The handsome driver had not uttered a single word on the journey out of the city, and the long silence was starting to make you lose your nerve. The sweeping lawns of the grounds perfectly manicured, and in the moonlight you can make out the silhouette of a large decorative fountain encircled by dense rose bushes. As the car pulls to a halt outside the Stanley home, you see that reliefs of figures entwined in passionate embraces have been carved into the stonework. You barely notice the silent driver get out of the limousine until they are opening the door for you. Thank you. You are greeted at the door by an immaculately dressed butler. Though he is now graying at the temples and his eyes are lined with age, it is plain to see that in his youth he cut an elegant visage. Mr. Larson, Madame Greer is expecting you. Please, right this way. The entrance hall is richly decorated with paintings, sculptures, priceless antiques, each competing for your careful attention. You are led down a long marbled floor hallway until you arrive at a grand receiving room. Your eyes are drawn to a central polished staircase. There on the half landing is Annabelle Trivell. With a rose-tinted gaze, you look upon her. She is a vision in white silk, her neck, dripping with deep red rubies which glimmer against her alabaster skin. She looks positively regal, a glass of blood resting in her delicate fingers. You pray that your gasp was quite enough to escape her notice, but the delicious smirk on her scarlet lips suggests otherwise. Oh, Edward, it's so wonderful you've come. Thank you. In the wake of her presence, you struggle to respond. As you flounder, she descends and approaches you, guiding you into a greeting embrace. You think perhaps it lingers, and you become enraptured in the gentle sealage of her perfume. Annabelle, you look breathtaking, if that's even possible for our kind. And you, my darling, she steps back to admire your ensemble. Immaculate, simply immaculate. Thank you. Annabelle, your home is gorgeous. I love what you've done with the place. Thank you, dear. This home has been in the family for some time. It belongs to my so-called niece now, which is the mask I wear on occasions these nights. Jacqueline Greer is her name, purely fictional. But everything you see on display here, nearly, I collected during my travels with my sire, Maria. Without a word of explanation, begins walking, and you find yourself eagerly following into step down yet more grand hallways, your shoes clicking against the marble floor. Amazing. I can only dream of having such an impressive collection. Despite my age, I'm afraid I am not particularly well traveled. Always been too much to be done for the clan back in Yorkshire. I understand. Since becoming the Primogen of the Roses, I have done so little traveling. I long for those years sometimes. Annabelle guides you into the room offset from her lavish living space. It appears to be a music room with comfortable seating in the middle. A great golden harp stands by a red velvet curtained window, but you are drawn to a vintage record player exceptionally restored. I thought we might listen to some music together after reminiscing about the jazz age with you at the Succubus. I found myself yearning to unearth my collection. I would like that. To be honest, it's something of a comfort to spend time with another kindred similar in age to myself. I've met so few in Chicago since I have arrived. What shall we listen to? Annabelle slides into a chair and grins behind the bejeweled hand Runs behind the bejeweled hand to her full lips. You pick, darling. I'm dying to know what you'll choose. Something nostalgic, romantic, or uplifting? Romantic. We're gonna double down on this romance thing, guys. Annabelle's fingers drift to her chest. You turn from the record player and meet her sly grin with your own. Her icy blue eyes sparkle. Well now, Edward, aren't you charming? I adore this song. Duke Ellington's Twinkling Piano, Coltrane's Lonely Yearning Horn. My sire, Maria, never came to appreciate Coltrane's talents? Am I saying that right? I'm bad with names. Are you feeling sentimental tonight, darling? Perhaps I am. Would you like to dance, Miss Triabelle? Oh, it flashed on there. I painted this, by the way. I painted this. You soon find yourself hand in hand with Annabelle Triabelle, dancing together in the music room. She's captivating. Unfortunately, I didn't realize she was wearing white when I painted this, so that's my bad. It's okay, though. Flirtatious. Your sire was very fortunate to have such a lovely dancing partner. Thank you, darling. I must say, you're quite the dancer for a blue blood. Maria wouldn't have approved of my interest in you. Frankly, I find that delightful. Oh, darling Edward, here I am telling you my tale of woe. What about you? Tell me of your beloved Yorkshire, of your sire, your journey into the night. I've always attributed my sire's choosing me as dumb luck. I'm glad you like it. Thanks. I had nothing when I was chosen for the embrace. I was just running a tiny brewery with my brothers. Now I'm in Chicago and moving into banking. You attempt to make light and give Annabelle's hand a gentle squeeze. She smiles sadly but shakes her head. No, dear, your sire made no choice, and neither did mine when she chose me. We're just pawns, rarer and rarer becoming the decisions we are free to make ourselves. Perhaps one night you'll understand, but for now, darling, Annabelle closes the small distance between you, sweeping under your arms. I'm making a decision to which I eagerly await your response. Kiss me. Oh, I'm kissing her. There's only a moment of uncertainty as you look back at her, then you glide your hands up Annabelle's shoulders and, without faltering, meet her lips. She returns your kiss, fingers running through your hair until finally pulling away. Annabelle. You grasp for words, but none seem to materialize. Yes, darling Edward, I know. I would love for you to see me again. I'd like that. Annabelle takes your arm and leads you back out into the grand entryway. Don't keep me waiting for too long, handsome. The event of that night linger heavily in your thoughts. You had planned to attend 2 functions this week, but you find yourself unsure what you do. We are, I'm not going to show you these. So we're going to go on the second date with Annabelle. As weeks pass, you worry that Annabelle has forgotten your moment of intimacy. You only manage to catch a glimpse of her now and then from across the crowded rooms in Elysium and dull functions, her gaggle of roses forming an impenetrable wall around her. That is, until tonight. Sitting alone at the bar in the Succubus Club, you are convinced you saw her try to catch your eye from her booth. But when you glance back, she turned away, giving a practiced laugh to some sycophant in a knockoff Gucci suit. Snorting in distaste, you go back to your drink, knocking it back in a single gulp, hailing the bartender for another. As they hand over your glass, there's a note, expertly tucked beneath it. Tonight, A. XOXO. You grin. And so once more, you find yourself back at the Triabelle estate. This time, you're led through the grand entryway, through areas for entertaining, up the polished staircase. The butler knocks, opening the door for you to Annabelle's room. Annabelle Triabelle stands by a window, draped in white. She churns, chiffon and silk pulling at her feet, and beams at you. The butler makes a hasty retreat as Annabelle sweeps over to you. Edward, darling, I'm so happy you've come. She embraces you closely, one hand at the small of your back and the other fixing your hair. Her face is a mask of adoration. How have you been, my dear? You seem to have more than settled in. I bet Chicago is starting to feel like home. I don't think settled is the word. We're like thrown in at the bloody deep end. Annabelle, I thought you'd forgotten about me. Hush, my love. How could I possibly forget you? Annabelle strokes your cheek with her thumb. She gazes up at you with a smile on her ruby lips. So beautiful. Yes, you are. You can't maintain her gaze. You feel your shoulders droop. With a finger beneath your chin, she pulls you up to look at her once more, studying you with concern. What is it, my love? Oh, it's nothing. Come now, tell me what's on your mind. Such a sad look doesn't belong to such a handsome face. Oh, just that I thought we shared a connection, something more than just physical attraction. Oh, darling, is that all? As much as I wanted to, I couldn't just whisk you away, Edward. The blue buds already despise me, present company excluded. Someone as unshakable as you? Don't tell me you give a damn what they think. She laughs, giving you a playful little wave of the hand. Me? Of course I don't, but I have to protect my clan. They'd use any opportunity to take it all away from us. We are so few these nights. My child or grandchild are all but gone. I must protect what we have left. Sharon. My dear Tarmoni? Gone. So many gone now. Her gaze drifts over your shoulder to her expression dreamy and vacant. You rest a hand on her arm. Belle? Oh, I'm sorry, my darling. Away with the fairies. Let's not have any more talk of such somber things. Her fingers trace a slow line up your neck, a wry smile on her lips. I asked you here tonight, my beautiful gentleman, so that we may finally have some time alone together. You and I make a magnificent pair. You make these dull nights all the more exciting. I want the court to see us as a force to be reckoned with, you and I, together. Spend your nights at my side. My influence can take you further than your pretender Jackson ever could. Okay. I can imagine no greater honor, Belle. Wonderful, my strapping Englishman, my Edward. Draping her soft arms over your shoulders, her red painted lips meet yours. When she withdraws, her eyes are heavy-lidded with longing. You sway with her on the spot, taking her into your arms, rocking her to imaginary music. Perhaps one night we might go out to dance together. My waltz is criminally underused. Wouldn't that be wonderful, Belle? I'd like that, Edward, my darling. I do hate to spoil a beautiful moment, but, my dear, if we're truly to stand together, there's something I must confess. Of course, Annabelle. Anything. Annabelle looks earnestly into your eyes, considering. She sighs, drifts to a seat in a swirl of chiffon. She drums her ruby-painted nails atop the arm of the I don't know how to say that word. The chair, looking statuesque in the warm lamplight. Edward, darling, tell me, do you know how I managed to survive so long in this city? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't ask a lady her age, but my sire told me that you were here before most of the city's construction. That's an awfully long time to remain in power. Yes, my dear, that's true. I've had a hand in the birth of this city, and over the centuries I've come to develop quite a talent for existing below the radar. But your Toreador Primogen, that's hardly below the radar. Yes, darling, they underestimate me. They look at me and see vapid, mercurial Annabelle, pretty face, good for gossip, and not much else. Carefully cultivated image, dear. May seem trite, but I have to keep much of myself hidden. I play pretend so that I might go about my business underestimated. I see. It certainly makes sense, but Annabelle, you know, of course, I won't tell anyone. And I'm not quite sure what you're confessing to. Oh, Edward, my heart. You don't understand how difficult it is, even to voice it. A look of anguish crosses her face, like a distressed damsel in a black and white movie. She turns away, the back of her porcelain hand to her forehead. I have a foul secret, but you mustn't tell anyone. My life depends on it. If others knew how weak I've become, Weak? What are you saying? You're far from weak, Belle. Damn it, Edward, please! She blinks, a faraway look in her eyes. Mon cher, please. Stay with me tonight. Annabelle. Please, Annabelle holds her hand out to you, silently summoning you to sit beside her. Quickly, curiously, you oblige, studying Annabelle's closely as you hold her hands. I need you to stay with me. I need you. I need someone, but I want it to be you, Edward. Stay with me and to see where I go, how I got there. Explain to me how I end up in strange places. Memories lost. What? What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're saying. No one can know. They would bury me if they found out. Let her continue. Flustered and frustrated, Annabelle seems to be unable to stop the words from pouring out. You listen in fearful silence, knowing better than to interrupt. Something dark and it's ancient has its hooks in me. Something more dangerous than any mere Methuselah. It calls us to her, the roses, a pool, impossible to resist. Oh my Edward, she calls us, and so many do not return. All my child are gone, gone, gone. My sweet Termone, Sophia, Sharon, and poor Elsa. You listen, a pit of dread beginning to well in your stomach. For whatever reason, she calls to me. Just before dawn, the roses face a formidable threat, and I'm powerless to stop it. Oh, Belle, please, we can figure this out. We can handle it. Just tell me what you need me to do. A crimson tear rolled down her cheek, but Annabelle's eyes and mouth pull into a smile. It's frightening. You can't handle the reality of what this is. None of us can. For the truth is that it has always been out of our control. She stands, her smiles fade. She looks dreamy again. And I'm losing my voice again. Excuse me. She moves back to the windows, drawing open the curtains again. Belle, what are you doing? She opens the window and stands up on the sill. You jump to your feet. This isn't Annabelle anymore. You try to keep your voice calm, but panic bleeds into your tone. Light begins to bleed through the window. It's nearly morning. Hey, come away from there. Come sit with me, Annabelle. She gives no response. Belle, stop! Wind wisps at the curtain. The delicate chiffon of Annabelle's glowing gown, billowing as the autumn chill sweeps into the bedroom. With a calm look over her shoulder, Annabelle smiles at you. Then she jumps. Oh my God. Annabelle! You hear no impact. Rushing to the window, you catch a supernatural blur of motion as the form of Annabelle Triabel bounds across the long estate. You see her form turn to look at you from a distance, and you swear she's still smiling as she leaps over the wall surrounding her property in a single bound. The orange of dawn is seeping into the inky black sky. The ancient fear within you recoils, knowing that dawn is some 10 minutes away. What do you do? Should I hide or should I follow her? Let's try to follow her, but I'm probably going to die. With only a moment's hesitation, you hurry from the room and race down the halls of the estate. Several waiting staff see you try to call for you to stop, but you pay them no mind. You run into the butler that led you in, blocking the front doorway. Please, sir, calm yourself. Dawn is approaching. You must stay inside. Bollocks to that. That's so British. Annabelle is out there, and I need to help her. The butler looks shocked, but sets a grip on your arms. Miss Greer will be fine, Mr. Larson. She does this. Now please, return to your... Oh, get out of my way. With a swing of your arm, you send the butler sprawling, but you don't turn to see if he's all right. You run to your car, keys shaking in your hands as you race off into the approaching dawn to find Annabelle. I wonder if he dies. Dear God, Annabelle, where the hell did you go? The end. Sorry it didn't work out so well this time. Well, the night is still young. Anyway, I'm not going to play any more of this because y'all should play it yourselves. But, I'm going to drink some more water. I'm so sorry, guys. All this talking dries my throat. Um, what a cliffhanger, right? Anyway, there are more routes to take. You know, you can date other people in this game, and I can also tell you all that there is a route that didn't make it into didn't make it in time, but we hope to add it in after like the judging of the game jam's over. So you know, return. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna do for today. I hope you guys check it out, and I hope you guys like it. I know that we all worked really hard. The writers busted their asses. The artists busted their asses. The programmer mainly, I helped a little bit, but really it was Divid, busted their ass big time to make this. And this is the first game I've worked on, and I would like to work on my own games in the future. In fact, I'm already talking to a friend of mine about maybe doing our own graphic novel. And then, of course, I suspect that the Succulent Club will probably add a little bit more to this one. And I would like that to do that too. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is not going to be a particularly long stream today. Because I had to do a lot of reading. I was thinking about playing Pathologic next, Pathologic 2, but that requires a lot of reading. And this has kind of put things into perspective that maybe I shouldn't. So I'm going to reconsider. I might play Silent Hill 2, and I've also considered playing, oh, why did I forget it? Haunting Ground. I considered playing Haunting Ground. But that is it for today. I appreciate you all hanging out with me and watching me play this game that me and my friends made. And hopefully we'll do this again sometime, because this was fun. Anyway, you guys all have a nice night. Oh, it's okay. Callie, I will post the VOD onto YouTube if you want to watch the VOD. And if you guys want to play this game yourself, you can download it there. And then, of course, there's a lot of other games that were entered into the Game Jam. I want to see if I should probably pull that up so you guys can see the other games, because they look really cool, and I personally want to check them out too. Vampire Jam 2020, where is it? Here. Vampire Jam entries. You guys check the other Vampire Jam entries as well. Let me get that. There you go. They look cool, and I'm going to be playing some of them. Maybe I'll play some of them. Yeah. Not today, but maybe like maybe later this weekend, maybe. Play some of the other Vampire Game Jam games. It might be fun. I have to check them out first. Anyway, thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you soon.